Yo, 4 keys, this is day 131 of me playing just every day until I reach the rapid training of 2500. So here we go. We have the game, we have the white pieces, so let's play pawn to e4 here. The game has started, we're playing against quite strong of a player, he plays the Sicilian, let's play pawn to c3 of course. My classical Alapin Sicilian, he plays e5, now knight f3 is just the best way of playing. And bishop c4 I think. And d3 at some point is playable as well. I'm not sure when. Or should I push d4? I'm not so sure. I think castling cannot be wrong, and if knight f6, I probably can play either d3 or rook e1. We can decide. Um, we can decide, but I think, well, rook e1 is slightly more pleasant to me. I can play for d4 now and just pile the pressure on this pawn. And yes, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Or I can also play positionally with d3. I could play h3, stopping bishop g4 firstly. And then I can decide whether to play for d4 or for some other ideas. Now I feel like d4 has to be the right idea, yeah? I mean, if you take here twice, or I mean 3 times, then I'm just better. Yes, I think now I'm better. Bishop d7 probably has to be played or something like so. Taking is a yes, bishop d7 is played. A reasonable option. And now we can keep on developing it. I mean, this pawn on d6 is much weaker than my pawn on e4. I mean, I can even play f3 if necessary. So even knight b5 here doesn't look bad. I guess you can play like bishop e6 and I have nothing there. I could also play knight to d5. And if takes, takes, but then the knight gets to e5. Knight f5 also is an option, which actually I like a lot. Of course, he will take. And then I can get like my queen into an action, get the knight to d5, and just attack him on the king side with my pieces, of course. So 95, yes, this is a reasonable choice. I could go back to f1. I could go back to b3, which I think is more reasonable. Although who will guard this pawn is the question. I guess the bishop from c2. So I can go here with an idea of knight d5, trade of the bishop, trade of the knights, and play for queen h5, let's say. He's attacking the pawn. Logical move, and now bishop c2 was what I was planning on doing. Um, is he actually threatening to take? After f4, knight c6, the bishop is defended, so I guess. I mean, even takes, I have just takes here, right? With a fork. So no, that's not a threat yet. I can just develop the bishop, let's say, to f4. Although then queen takes and this comes with a tempo. And the d6 pawn is defended. What am I doing? Bishop e3 takes. I'm worse. I cannot pick up the pawn. What is my problem? Let's play bishop c2 here. Just guarding the pawn. And then play bishop to f4. Threatening to take, probably. And if he takes, then I can take here. And if he takes, I take back with the knight. And I'm up a pawn there. Also, my opponent apparently has a very poor internet connection. That doesn't mean anything. Let's keep on developing. This is now a threat, of course, of winning a pawn. But I cannot take the queen firstly because then the pawn is defended here. I have bishop a4 there, I think. Why did he do that? Isn't this like free? I mean, the pawn is free, huh? Is there something better than just taking and taking? I guess I can also take, right? That's the question of... No, I think just takes bishop d6 and rook e1. And he's not... Yes, he is threatening to take, excuse me. Um, If he takes, I'm happily entering the endgame. I mean, I'm just up a pawn for absolutely no reason. My pieces are active. You can go here as well, I guess. Rook e1, what's the problem? Why did I go to e1? Okay, he didn't spot the move. Queen f3, rook d2, bishop b3. Rook b2, rook c1. Also just maybe rook c1. Um, why did you do that? I think this is bad. I'm not sure why. I will improve my bishop so that rook d2 doesn't come with a threat on the bishop. Also rook d1 is definitely a move. Excusez-moi. Do you have anything? Bishop c5, rook f1. Oh, bishop c5 is not a legal move. I think I can take the free rook, right? What? Are we just not winning? Queen c5, queen f3. There is nothing on the f2 square. No, I will just take, I don't care. And that was one of the ideas of bishop b3. So the rook d2 doesn't come with a tempo. Even then, yes, I would be winning. But it's not as simple. But now my opponent will just probably resign. I mean, I got 2 rooks for free in, I think, the last 3 games. And I was playing against strong players. I mean, 2000 rated players or even higher shouldn't blunder a rook in one move. And shouldn't play moves like b6 to allow me. And she just resigns. I think she's a she. But yes, I'm very happy. Let's analyze the game now. So this is the game review of the game I just played. I played okay with 93.3% accuracy, nothing special because the game wasn't really long. My opponent, of course, I'm not sure why it says 83% accuracy. It should be closer to 50. But yes, let's see what happened. So of course I played e4. She responded with c5. C3. Now she played this move e5, which is already not the best move on move 2. Um, yes, I played correctly. Knight f3 is the best move in the position. She played knight c6, and I played bishop c4. I've studied this like yesterday. I'm not even kidding. Maybe not yesterday, but a few days ago. She played h6, and I responded with the short castles, and now I'm playing perfect so far. Knight f6. I thought about playing d3. I figured out rook e1 has to be slightly better because I'm flexible by playing d4 at some point. D6 was played. Now I played the first inaccurate move of the game. I played h3. I'm still having a major chunk of my advantage. After d4, I thought he might just take and play now bishop g4. Yes. Now I didn't really saw that. I mean, if takes, of course, knight takes, and my position is not that great. Apparently, d takes is better. Um, but the pawn on d4 is now under tremendous pressure, so is the square. If I push d5, for example, simply knight d4, yes. Because of this pin, I didn't want to allow that. So I played h3. This is a prophylactic move stopping either bishop g4 or knight g4 in the future. Now she played bishop e7. Apparently g5 and g4 is a strong idea, but I just responded in the center, g4, and I take, knight takes, and probably I take on c5 apparently. Of course you cannot take because then you just trade off the queens, and I mean this is just tremendous. These pawn islands here. But okay, she played bishop e7, natural move. I strike. I striked in the center. I thought about playing d3 here. Playing in a slow Italian fashion, but I figured out that why my position is perfect to play d4. I am overdeveloped. My king is castled, and she still has the king in the center of the board. Why not exploit that? She took like twice and played bishop d7. I mean, taking here is very bad. So yes, bishop d7 was the best because now my queen cannot be chased away, and I'm just piling on the pressure on the d6 pawn. I will get my knight probably around to d5, maybe even play f4, bishop e3, and just win the game. I had a similar game like that in a national youth chess championship that I just played. Of course, I won it because of the tremendous weakness of the d6 pawn and the d5 square in front of it. Yes, it wasn't really hard. So yes, she didn't take on d4, she played bishop d7, which is natural. I think castling here is also okay. I mean, I don't really want to allow this because she gets a center here and the pawns are not as weak as they are now, especially the pawn on d6. Now I just kept on developing. Knight f5, maybe not the best move, of course she takes, and plays knight to e5. I, I think this is a very important point of the game. Where to put the bishop? I mean, you have virtually only two options. I guess there is also the option to go to e2, but this is simply bad. So yes, bishop f1 would make a lot of sense to maybe some Sicilian players that play semi-open Sicilian defense, where you put the bishop on b5, and if they don't play a6, then you simply go to f1 back at some point when they chase you after the first few moves in the opening. Yes, that's logical, especially if I have a pawn on h3 just guarding my king side. But I figured out that my bishop on b3 will do a great job. Maybe it will also go to c2, and that happened. Apparently, that's a bad move, but yes. Now g4 is a bad. I mean, this is hard. I saw the move. I thought it makes zero sense. I mean, opening up my king side like that for no apparent reason. Excuse me. Bishop c2 cannot be a bad move. Rook fc8, but it is. I mean, I accept that. Bishop f4, bishop f8, and now I just win a pawn. Excuse me, what? I thought she will play bishop d6. I thought about playing rook e1 simply back, and thought my position is great. After queen c7, I went back and I instantly regretted my decision. Why? Because she can play bishop b4 and I lose the pawn. She didn't see that. She played rook d8, and now after queen f3, I mean, I'm simply up a pawn, excuse me. And after b6, bishop b3 was played. Not the best move, but I was simply making sure that rook d2 cannot come with the tempo. Of course, now that the rook is on a8, that's impossible. But for some reasons, even like bringing my queen to g6 up because the pawn is pinned, that's not really possible yet, but I was just improving my pieces. Also, rook d1 was possible here, but I wasn't. My intention was to take here, but of course she can take here with mate, so I calculated that and said that I don't like that. So yes, I spoiled what she played. In that position, she played a rook to d2, and I mean, why is this a blunder? Well, it hangs the rook, and it's GG she designed here. So, um, I mean, nothing else to add. 20, almost 2100 rated player with 8 minutes on the clock blundered her rook, and I simply won the game. So yes, we have our highest rating, our peak rating of Rapid Chess here on chess.com. My rating is 2121, so I think I'm doing pretty okay. Now we are on the streak, I think, of 5 games, maybe 6 games. You can correct me in the comments below if you're watching the series closely. And yes, as always, if you have anything to ask me, please write it down in the comments below. I will be reading and answering all of your comments, excuse me. And as always, if you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would really help me out. And see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.